If you are watching this right now, something inside you already knows that life has been building toward a moment like this. A moment where everything you thought you understood about your potential, your mind, your energy, and your place in reality itself begins to shift in ways you can actually feel. Not imagined, not hoped for. Felt. Because when you finally synchronize with the quantum field, everything changes. Not slowly, not someday. Not in small upgrades you barely notice. It changes now. It changes the instant your awareness reaches the frequency where the field responds directly to your consciousness. And yes, that is exactly what is happening right now as these words move through your awareness. There is a reason you are here. A reason you found this message at the exact point in your life when you needed it most. You may think you clicked a video or opened a message or followed a curiosity, but something deeper brought you here. Something in you is waking up. Something in you is aligning. Something in you is remembering what it forgot about its own power and its own nature. You are not here by accident. You are here because your consciousness is hitting a threshold where synchronization becomes unavoidable. You feel it. You notice it in small flashes. Moments where your attention sharpens. Moments where inner pressure rises. Moments where old beliefs crack. Moments where you sense something bigger moving underneath your daily life. You cannot explain it. You cannot ignore it. And you cannot shut it down anymore. Because the field is responding. You have experienced hints already. Times when your thoughts influenced events more quickly than usual. Times when an idea appeared out of nowhere and turned out to be exactly what you needed. Times when you spoke something and watched reality shift in ways that felt too direct to be chance. Times when inner guidance showed up so clearly you knew it was coming from something deeper than personal thinking. These moments are not random. These are early signs of signals that your awareness is getting close to the frequency where the field locks in with you. And when that lock happens, nothing stays the same. You stop living as someone who reacts to life. You start living as someone who shapes life. You stop thinking of growth as something you struggle toward. You feel growth happening through you. You stop waiting for clarity to arrive someday. You sense clarity rising naturally from inside you without forcing it. Your reality stops feeling rigid and starts feeling responsive, fluid, alive, cooperative. You stop fighting the world. You start working with it. Because the field is not separate from you. You are not trying to reach it. You are not calling for it. You are not asking it to show up. You are made of it. You live inside it. You influence it. You broadcast into it. It mirrors you. And once you realize that fully, everything you thought was impossible becomes simple. Everything that felt heavy becomes light. Everything that felt uncertain becomes obvious. That is the shift. That is synchronization. People think quantum manifestation is about forcing reality to bend in their favor, but that is not how this works. Synchronization is not about pushing. It is about matching. Your thoughts match your desired direction. Your emotions match your future rather than your past. Your inner state matches the version of you who already moved into the life you want. And the moment your inner state matches your chosen frequency, the field aligns with it automatically. No struggle, no doubt, no begging, just alignment. But this alignment cannot happen while you are holding on to an identity that no longer fits you. And you know that. You feel the old version of you cracking. The old beliefs feel too small. The old reactions feel too heavy. The old fears feel too outdated. Your system is pushing you toward expansion because staying contracted hurts now. Staying small feels unnatural. Staying silent feels wrong. Your growth is not optional anymore. It is happening whether you resist it or not. You can feel the pull. You can feel the pressure. You can feel the rise. And it is not anxiety. It is activation. Quantum activation. The field is stirring something inside you. Something that wants to grow. Something that wants to break patterns. Something that wants to step into a higher version of itself. Something that wants to stop living from limitation and start living from power. And that power has always been in you. It was just buried under conditioning, buried under fear, buried under self-doubt. But it is rising now because it is time. And you know it is time because your life has been shifting in ways that forced you to look at yourself differently. Some relationships grew distant. Some habits stopped working. Some paths closed. Some situations felt like they were pushing you out even before you decided to leave. That was not failure. That was clearing. Clearing everything that prevents synchronizing. Clearing everything that keeps you stuck in patterns that no longer match the frequency you are stepping into. Your inner world is reorganizing. You feel the old emotional weight loosening. You feel the new energy coming in. You feel your intuition sharpening. You feel your confidence rising, even if you do not understand why. You feel the edge of something new. You can almost touch it. You can almost step into it. And part of you is afraid because change is uncomfortable. But deeper than that fear is something stronger. Something louder. Something older. Something that says you are ready. You have outgrown the version of yourself that tried to survive. You are stepping into the version of yourself that creates. You are leaving behind the person who hoped things would change. You are becoming the person who changes things. You are moving from reaction to intention, from doubt to expression, from confusion to direction, from limitation to expansion. And all of it begins with synchronization. Synchronization with the quantum field that responds to your inner state with precision, speed, and accuracy that the logical mind cannot understand. This is why personal growth is no longer just motivational ideas for you. It is necessity, it is instinct. It is happening through you whether you plan for it or not. Your old mindset cannot operate at the level you are stepping into. Your old self-image cannot handle the energy you are beginning to carry. Your old patterns cannot exist at the frequency you are moving toward. You are leveling up, not in theory, in reality, in energy, in your daily life, and you feel it. You are becoming more aware of your thoughts, not by force. Naturally, you notice what is draining you. You notice what is empowering you. You notice what feels aligned and what feels wrong. You notice which desires are real and which desires came from pressure or insecurity. You notice the moments where you lose your center. You notice the moments where you regain it. This awareness is not random. It is part of synchronization. Because to align with the field, you must align with yourself. The deeper self. The higher self. The version of you that is not reacting from fear, but creating from clarity. The version of you that is not trapped in the past, but choosing from possibility. The version of you that is not stuck in survival mode, but operating from vision. That version of you is emerging. It is growing stronger. It is becoming your default state, and the field is responding to it already. Synchronicities are increasing. Opportunities are showing up faster. Conversations feel more meaningful. Your insights are sharper. Your ideas are clearer. You can sense patterns in your life that you never noticed before. You feel connected to something bigger than you. You feel guided. You feel supported. You feel like you are moving into alignment, even if everything in your outer world is still shifting into place. This is how it begins. This is how synchronization starts. You may not have full clarity yet. You may not know exactly where this is taking you. You may not have the whole path laid out. But you have direction. You have momentum. You have inner movement. And inner movement always becomes outer movement. Inner change always becomes outer change. Inner alignment always becomes external transformation. The field mirrors your inner world. The field listens to your frequency. The field responds to your energy. And right now, your energy is rising. This is the beginning. This is the opening. This is the point where your old life starts fading and your new life begins forming. Increment by increment. Insight by insight. Breakthrough by breakthrough. You can feel it starting. You can feel it building. You can feel the shift happening. And you are not imagining it. This is real. This is your moment. This is your activation. This is synchronization beginning to take hold. Because when you finally synchronize with the quantum field, everything changes. What happens next is what most people never prepare for. Because once synchronization begins taking shape inside you, Your entire inner world starts reorganizing itself in ways you cannot control and do not need to control. The field moves first. Your awareness follows. Your choices shift. Your emotional patterns change. Your perception sharpens. Your energy rises. And everything you once accepted as normal begins to feel unnatural because the frequency you are operating from is no longer compatible with the life you outgrew. This is a stage where reality starts talking back to you, not metaphorically, literally. The field reflects your state with such accuracy that you cannot pretend not to see the connection. You think of someone, and they call. You imagine a possibility, and the opening appears. You feel a shift, and your environment shifts with you. You set an intention, and the response comes faster than your logical mind can process. These are not coincidences. These are confirmations. The field is telling you it is syncing with you. The more aligned you become, the more responsive reality becomes. The more present you stay, the more clearly opportunities reveal themselves. The more honest you are with yourself, the more precisely the field organizes around your intention. Synchronization is a two-way flow. You move inward. The field moves outward. You shift internally. The field shifts externally. You change your frequency. The field changes your circumstances, and it happens with such clarity that your old doubts cannot survive it. But this stage is not only about external signs. It is about the internal transformation that cannot be reversed once it starts. You begin to feel yourself differently. You experience your own thoughts with more space around them. You feel emotions rise and fall without getting pulled into the old spiral. You sense the difference between old conditioning and genuine intuition. You notice when your energy contracts. You notice when your energy expands. You become aware of yourself in real time. And that awareness is the doorway to every shift that follows. This is where personal growth becomes something deeper. It stops being a project you work on and becomes a natural process happening through you. You do not push yourself to evolve. Evolution happens because your inner world no longer tolerates staying the same. You start releasing patterns you have carried for years, not through force but through clarity. You let go because holding on feels wrong now. You drop old habits because they no longer match your frequency. You stop entertaining old stories because you can feel the truth of who you are rising underneath them. You may find yourself walking away from situations you once tolerated. You may feel sudden waves of clarity about choices you avoided. You may feel calm in places where you used to feel overwhelmed. You may feel strong where you used to feel insecure. These changes are not random healing moments. They are signs that your consciousness is aligning with the field. The field functions through coherence. When your inner state becomes coherent, the rest of your life must follow. You start recognizing that the peace you feel inside is not fragile. It is stable. It is grounded. It is not easily shaken by circumstances, because it does not come from circumstances. It comes from alignment. When your inner state locks into the frequency of the field, you stop depending on external conditions to feel safe, worthy, clear, or powerful. That is the beginning of true transformation. That is the moment you shift from being shaped by life to shaping life through your state of being. And yes, this is also the stage where manifestation accelerates. Not because you are forcing it, because you are no longer blocking it. The field does not struggle to bring your desires into form. The field does not need time to catch up. Life reorganizes around you the moment your inner state matches the outcome you want. The delay was never the field. The delay was your own inner resistance. And now that resistance is loosening. You begin to see how quickly things move when you get out of your own way. You speak a desire and the first step appears. You open yourself to possibility and support arrives from directions you did not expect. You release fear and clarity shows up instantly. You let go of attachment and the thing you wanted comes in freely. You stop chasing outcomes and outcomes start moving toward you. This is not magic. This is sync. As this stabilization deepens, your relationship to challenges changes too. You no longer panic when something shifts unexpectedly. You no longer spiral when something falls apart. You no longer cling to outcomes that once felt critical. Instead, you sense direction behind every event. You sense the intelligence behind every redirection. You sense the clarity inside every closing door. You understand that the field is adjusting your path so it can match what you asked for. Even if the adjustment feels uncomfortable for a moment, you begin trusting your own intuition without second-guessing it. Decisions feel smoother. Action feels easier. Timing feels obvious. You know when to move and when to wait. You know what is aligned and what is not. You know what is yours and what is not yours. And you trust it knowing because you can feel where it comes from. It does not come from fear. It does not come from urgency. It comes from the field. One of the strongest signs that synchronization is stabilizing is the quiet confidence that grows inside you. Not loud, not ego-driven, not performative. Quiet, steady, rooted. A confidence that does not need validation because it does not come from anything external. It comes from connection. It comes from internal alignment. It comes from remembering who you are at your core and refusing to shrink into the old version of yourself. You may notice your voice getting stronger, not louder, clearer. You say what you mean. You hold your boundaries without guilt. You express your truth without apology, not because you are trying to be bold, but because anything less feels false now. You have outgrown silence that comes from fear. You have outgrown shrinking that comes from insecurity. You have outgrown pretending that comes from trying to be accepted. Alignment removes these patterns naturally, and as your inner world shifts, something else begins happening. People respond to you differently. Some will feel more drawn to you. Some will feel uncomfortable around your clarity. Some will respect you more. Some will distance themselves because your energy no longer matches theirs. Do not fear this. Do not shrink for this. This is part of the field removes what does not match your frequency and brings in what does. Your relationships begin to reorganize. Conversations deepen. Connections become more authentic. You draw in people who reflect your growth instead of people who mirror your wounds. You attract situations that match your new sense of self instead of your old patterns of fear. This is not you deciding to change people. This is your frequency reshaping your environment. And then something even more powerful happens. You begin feeling like life is guiding you, not controlling you, guiding you. You feel nudges. You feel direction. You feel clarity that does not come from logic. You sense when something is right even when it makes no sense. You sense when something is wrong even if it looks perfect on the surface. This guidance becomes stronger the more aligned you become. It is not imagination. It is not guessing. It is coherence. You may notice that your sense of self becomes simpler, cleaner, lighter. You no longer cling to labels. You no longer define yourself by old experiences. You no longer replay past failures or old versions of yourself. You stop carrying the weight of who you used to be and start stepping into the truth of who you are now. And that truth grows clearer each day as synchronization deepens. This is also the stage where your emotional world transforms. You do not stop feeling emotions. You start experiencing them differently. You feel sadness without collapsing. You feel anger without losing center. You feel excitement without gripping. Emotions rise and fall like waves, but you remain still underneath them. Present, aware, connected. This is emotional mastery born from alignment, not suppression. As synchronization strengthens, the field begins working through you in ways you can feel. Your ideas sharpen. Your insights accelerate. Your creativity unlocks. Your energy increases. Your actions become efficient. You stop wasting effort. You start moving with precision. You stop scattering your attention. You start focusing your power. Everything becomes smoother. You also begin noticing that time feels different. Some moments stretch. Some moments tighten. Some days feel full and others feel light. You start understanding that time is not fixed. Time bends around your awareness. The more present you are, the slower time feels. The more scattered you are, the faster it slips away. Presence gives you time. Alignment gives you time. Synchronization gives you time. And through all of this, you begin recognizing a deeper truth. You were never waiting for the field to show up. The field was waiting for you. waiting for your awareness to rise, waiting for your energy to clear, waiting for your inner world to align. And now that alignment is happening, the rest of your life cannot stay the same. It has to elevate. It has to rise to meet you. This is the stage where you begin realizing that personal growth is not a burden. It is freedom. It is clarity. It is power. It is you remembering what you are capable of when you stop running old patterns and start stepping into your real identity. The identity that is not shaped by fear or limitation. The identity that is connected to the field naturally. Part 2 is the shift. Part 3 is the transformation. This is the stage where everything that once felt distant begins to feel natural. The stage where the inner shifts you worked through in silence start showing up in your external reality with undeniable clarity. The stage where you stop questioning whether you are aligned and start living as someone who is aligned. Up to now, you were preparing, clearing, releasing, rising. But part 3 is different. Part 3 is embodiment. This is where synchronization becomes the state you return to automatically. This is where the quantum field stops feeling like a concept and starts feeling like home. You wake up and something feels different. You cannot name it at first. You just feel lighter, more centered, more aware. You feel like there is space inside you that did not exist before. Space between thought and reaction. Space between feeling and response. Space between desire and manifestation. It is not empty space. It is steady space. A clarity that does not depend on conditions. A calm that does not collapse under pressure. A confidence that does not require validation. This is the frequency of synchronization. You notice that you do not chase outcomes anymore. You allow them. You set intentions without gripping them. You move toward goals without fear. You trust life in a way you could not trust before because you finally understand how life responds to internal alignment. You do not need to force anything. You do not need to prove anything. You do not need to fight anything. You are in flow. And flow is not luck. Flow is frequency. Flow is coherence. In T-states, the quantum field reflects your state so precisely that even the smallest inner shift creates visible outer movement. When you choose clarity, paths open. When you choose honesty, connections deepen. When you choose courage, opportunities appear. When you choose peace, conflict dissolves. You begin to understand that reality has always been listening to you. It responds to your choices. It responds to your frequency. It responds to your identity. Now that your identity is aligned with who you truly are, reality has no choice but to match it. Manifestation becomes less about trying and more about becoming. You become the version of yourself who already has what you want. You match the frequency first, and when you do, life organizes around you. You feel this happening without effort. You feel ideas drop in at the exact moment you need them. You feel yourself drawn to the right people. You feel doors open before you even reach them. You feel aligned time carry you in ways you could never orchestrate manually. This is when you realize that manifestation is not a skill. It is a state of coherence, a state of clarity, a state of connection with the field. When your inner state matches what you want, you cannot stop it from coming. The field does not withhold. The field mirrors. But the biggest transformation in part 3 is something deeper than manifestation. It is identity. You stop seeing yourself as the person who is trying to improve. You start seeing yourself as the person who creates from alignment. Growth is not something you chase. Growth is something you live. You trust yourself in ways you never did before. You trust your intuition. You trust your timing. You trust your energy. You trust your ability to shape your inner world and let your inner world shape everything else. Failures do not feel like failures anymore. They feel like redirection. Delays do not feel like punishment. They feel like alignment. Challenges do not make you collapse. They sharpen your clarity. You stop expecting life to move against you. You expect life to move with you. And it does. In T-states, you begin seeing patterns clearly. You see how old behaviors created old outcomes. You see how survival thinking blocked your expansion. You see how fear limited your choices. You see how doubt interrupted your intuition. And because you see these patterns with clarity, you do not repeat them. Not out of discipline, out of awareness. The moment an old pattern arises, you recognize it instantly and choose differently. This is what alignment does. It gives you choice. Your emotional world transforms even more deeply. You feel emotions fully, but you no longer drown in them. When sadness comes, you hold it with presence. When anger rises, you understand what it is pointing to. When fear appears, you guide yourself through it. You no longer run from your feelings or try to suppress them. They move through you because you are not clinging to them. You honor them, but you are not ruled by them. This emotional maturity becomes one of your greatest strengths. People sense it. They feel your steadiness. They feel your calm. They feel your grounded presence. You become an anchor in rooms full of chaos. You become clarity in conversations full of confusion. You become a mirror that reflects truth where others cannot see it clearly. And you do this without trying to. It is the effect of relationships shift again at this stage, but not because you withdraw, because you grow into a version of yourself that relates from openness rather than fear. You listen more deeply. You speak more honestly. You connect from the heart rather than from old wounds. You set boundaries easily because you are no longer defending yourself. You are simply honoring your own energy. You attract people who match your alignment, people who see you clearly, people who value your presence, people who meet you without needing to take from you. And you also release connections that no longer resonate, without guilt, without resentment, without conflict. They simply drift because their frequency no longer matches yours. This is not loss. This is alignment doing its work. As synchronization stabilizes, your sense of purpose rises naturally. Not a forced purpose, not a dramatic calling, a steady, grounded realization that you are here to create, to grow, to express, and to elevate your own consciousness and the consciousness of those around you. You generate meaning by being aligned with yourself. Your life becomes meaningful because you are present in it. Fully present, fully awake, fully aligned. Ideas begin flowing through you with surprising clarity. Creative energy feels stronger. You access insights you once struggled to reach. You see solutions quickly. You connect dots that others miss. You begin to feel guided from within rather than searching outside for direction. This inner guidance becomes your compass. You trust it because it has proven itself repeatedly. And then comes the realization that completes part 3. You finally understand that nothing outside you has the power to define you or limit you. You see that your past does not hold you. Your fears do not shape you. Your doubts do not own you. You are not the story you came from. You are not the patterns you inherited. You are not the limitations you used to believe. You are the awareness behind them. You are the consciousness that observes them. And because you are the one who observes, you are the one who can choose. This recognition is freedom. Real freedom. The freedom to create your life from intention instead of habit. The freedom to shape your path from clarity instead of fear. The freedom to live from alignment instead of survival. This is synchronization, not a moment, not a technique. A state of being. A way of living, a way of perceiving, a way of moving through the world with awareness so strong that life cannot help but respond to it. Once you reach this stage, you do not fear losing alignment, because alignment is not something you hold. It is something you return to, over and over, naturally, easily, gently, because you know how to find it. You know how it feels. You know how to recognize when you slip from it, and you know exactly how to come back. That is mastery. This is where personal growth becomes effortless. Not because life becomes perfect, but because you stop resisting life. You move with the energy instead of fighting it. You rise with the momentum instead of collapsing under it. You grow from every challenge instead of shrinking from it. You express instead of repress. You choose instead of react. You create instead of chase. Part 3 is not an ending. It is your new beginning, your new baseline, your new identity. You are synchronized with the field now, not trying to be. Being, living, creating, rising. The version of you who used to hope for change has become the version who directs change. The version who waited for clarity has become the version who generates clarity. The version who feared life has become the version who shapes life. Everything changes when you live from this state. Everything expands. Everything aligns. Everything flows, because the field is no longer something outside you. It is the source inside you, and you are finally moving with it.